My name is Riley Dillon, and I am presenting on Bloom. What is Bloom? It's an Unreal Engine 5 project that is a puzzle exploration style game that uses semi-realistic graphics while also using a theme of magic, so to speak, or at least magical plants. We have elemental flowers that use their respective elements like fire, ice, and wind, and we have mushrooms that you can bounce along to move through the areas easily, as well as elemental crystals that only react to their designated elemental flower. The goal of this game is to escape the cave that you are trapped in, using the flowers and mushrooms to make your way through. This project was not created solely by me, but also by Nathaniel, Alexander, and some others in my game design class. What is Unreal Engine? Unreal Engine is a game engine that primarily uses node-based coding and also does live rendering. What you can see right here is code that I made to essentially do the fire flower that is in our game. And when it's set up so when you press the bound button, it will emit fire from it at a certain range, and it will track any collisions that happen with that flame and apply damage to specified targets that are allowed to take damage. I also worked on materials for this project, and with Unreal Engine, you have the images that you want to use. You can apply them as the base color. They are read into the engine, and then once you have them hooked up properly, they will apply to the object. You can also input normal maps and other sorts of different stylizations for textures to give like a kind of bumpy or rough surface on a flat 2D from a flat 2D image. You can also modify how these images are read in based on different alterations like contrast or multipliers to make things pop. We also made something called a data asset, which is being used for our input actions. The data asset saves key binding, the specific keyboard keys, and binds them to events when either pressed or held. Data assets are similar to dictionaries with how they can save keys and the values or events they are connected to. For example, we have our flower being shot by holding down the F key, we have the dropping flower bound to H, and we have the player self-kill termination with a K key. For exception handling, we didn't really have many issues with people getting stuck or us getting stuck and testing the level, except for when they would actually get stuck in the most literal sense. To fix that, we made the kill bind mentioned before that when pressed destroys a player character, and then that once the player character is destroyed, they are respawned by another system we have in place. And now I'll show a demo of the game in action. We have our main menu and the buttons you can interact with to start or quit the game. If you go to the right, there is the main section of the fire room, where you have the mushrooms that have been textured, and you bounce across. Or you can take the shortcut over here, and go up and grab the fire flower at the shortcut. And this is our respawn anchor here. Once you activate it, it guides you where to go next, but it also lets you respawn. So say we get stuck over here, can't get out for some reason, you press the bind, it kills you, and respawns you. Although that also gets rid of the flower. collisions are a little weird. We also have UI that triggers upon colliding with a hidden box. And once, as you can see on the bottom left, we have UI that tells the player where to interact or which keys are used to interact. So H would be to drop. Now this is the ice flower. The ice flower is used to freeze water and activate crystals. When you activate all four of these specific elemental crystals, you can get through this room and go to the next one. You can also freeze and walk around at the same time, letting you essentially be frozen. It should drop once you light up the last crystal. Now we have the wind room. For this one, you have to rearrange pillars using the wind flower in order to get a fire flower and to get to the next area. I made the original code for the wind flower. It was my friend Nathaniel who made the pillar pushing mechanic. Once the pillars are in place, you should be able to just bounce along and grab the next flower to open the area up ahead. This flower is a bit more tricky because it requires the use of all three flowers in the room. The fire flower only pushes the fire crystal. It does not push the wind crystal. And you have to rearrange the crystals in the room in order to get them on each of their corresponding plates. Although they will become stuck and if you're unable to be moved if you don't put them in the right order, like this one would be cut off by the green. There's also recurring elements from the previous puzzles, like the wind pillars being pushed inside this room, as well as roots being burned by the fire flower. Once you've moved the pillar over there, you can safely traverse through and make it to the ice flower, which then can be used to push the ice crystal. And now that one's also socketed into place. Lastly, at least the way I do it, you put the wind crystal in. I've also been told this is apparently the long way of doing it, but so what? Now that all the crystals have been socketed, the door opens, letting you escape to the outside. Overall, this is meant to be a video game demo level. It did not start out as escaping a cave, but rather traversing a forest. But due to issues that we came across, we had to rethink what our process was going to be, scale down, and consolidate everything into this one cave area, which we then filled with new puzzles to be done and explored. If my team had more time and resources, I believe we probably could have added more content to it, so it wasn't just the cave alone. And I think that adding more mechanics that would interact with the current elemental flowers that we had would be a good start. For example, like melting ice with a fire flower or putting out fires with the ice flower. Overall, this project has taught me a lot more about intricacies with Unreal Engine and its code interactions. It's taught me more about how to do materials and how to rearrange them and edit them to get what you want. It has also taught me that I need to learn more than just my standard skill sets. But overall, I am happy with the project that my team and I have made.